Hey guys, Connor from the Ticket Stub, and you were listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe, and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Hi, welcome to the Legal Connection Show. My name is Toni Collins, and I'm an attorney licensed in Texas. My co-host is Christine Cheryl Jahani. She is not with us today, but called me this morning and let me know that she is with us in spirit and at the dentist. So you can hear us on FM 104.5. FM 106.1 in the Conroe band. You can watch us on Facebook at the legalconnectionshow.com. And if you missed today's show or have to step out for a minute, you can also go to irlonestarradio.com or our Facebook page, and we will have the podcast repeated later if there's any information that you want to retain. And also you can go to our Facebook page if you have any questions and ask us those questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. And our show is just a community show that is for the benefit of our Conroe and Montgomery County citizens that have legal issues that they brought to our attention throughout the week, and so we cover those issues on the show. This week's show is going to cover FEMA because we recently had a freeze disaster that was declared a disaster by, it's the Texas Severe Winter Storm Active Disaster as declared by FEMA. The incident period is from February 11th, 2021 through February 21st, 2021. And it was declared a disaster on February 19th. And virtually, I would say virtually, I'm looking at a map. Looks like every county in Texas was affected by this. But for our discussion today, Harris, Fort Bend, Montgomery, San Jacinto, Walker, and Galveston, and just about every county surrounding Montgomery County was declared a disaster area that would be subject to the FEMA rules. So we're going to go over that. Now, the first thing that came to mind when I was looking at this today, and the questions I'm getting from my clients also are, can FEMA help, and how long does it take to get paid? Before they ask any other questions, can they help, and when can I get my money? And so here's the answer to that. If you have damage to your home or its contents, and you are uninsured or you have suffered damage due to this freeze, and it could be other disasters too, but we're really focused on this recent freeze that we had, a FEMA inspector will contact you within 10 to 14 days after you apply to set up an appointment to assess the disaster damages. Typically, within 10 days after the inspection by the FEMA inspector, if FEMA determines that you qualify for help, you will receive a direct deposit into your bank account or a check in the mail. All right. And this information you can find at FEMA.com if you need more information about how to apply. And, you know, a lot of my clients had advised that after the freeze, not during the freeze, that they experienced additional damage to their homes and businesses. And that included pipes breaking, their water, the water pressure going off and on. And of course, because of their pipes breaking, they didn't have water. They got leaks that they discovered throughout their house, and it was because of damage to their roof that was a result of the freeze. And I didn't even know you could have roof damage in that period of time, but apparently you can. So we're going to go over briefly roof damage. Roof damage can occur at any time of the year. We know that, but winter weather can be especially harsh on a house's roof. And it's almost never a good idea to simply wait for spring before addressing the issues. That because the presence of snow and ice on your roof due to this freeze could have caused this damage, particularly in an environment down here in the South where our roofs aren't built to sustain ice and snow damage. In most cases, winter weather won't cause new damage to your roof. However, it can exacerbate existing or unknown problems. And here's a list of forms of roof damage that can occur during these cold winter months that could have been affected by the freeze that you may want to claim under your insurance and under FEMA. Water damage. Freezing rain can seriously damage your roof. This is particularly problematic if ice builds up in your gutter and prevents water from draining properly from your roof. Extensive water damage can also occur if your area experiences heavy rain and the accumulated water gets under the shingles into your home. Even just a few inches of water can cause extensive interior home damage by affecting electrical wiring and causing mold to grow inside your home. Both slanted and flat roofs are susceptible to water damage. To prevent water from getting trapped in your roof, ensure your roof is properly to prevent water from getting trapped in your roof and to ensure your roof is properly ventilated. If any minor holes or leak exist, fix them immediately to prevent water from entering at those points. And what some of my clients experienced is that after the freeze, they were finding leaks throughout their house, but not during the freeze, of course, because there was just snow and ice buildup in their homes, and that this damage was leaking into their very expensive Woodlands homes, and they didn't know what the source was. And the source was that the ice had built up and the water was draining. And initially they thought it was water pipe breaks, but it was actually roof damage. And until, of course, they have an inspector go out, it could have been a little bit of both, but it seemed because their water pressure was still high that it was a roof issue. Snow damage. This is especially risky if your home's roof is flat or designed in such a way that snow cannot easily fall down the sides. Snow may melt fairly quickly thanks to the heat emitting from your home. However, it can enter through cracks in your roof if there is more snow on your roof than your gutters can handle. If your roof is old, heavy snow can lead to structural damage or even a complete cave-in. If you have damaged or missing shingles or poor ceiling around your chimney, flashing or skylights, melting snow can seep through and reveal potentially devastating leaks. To prevent snow damage to your roof after particularly heavy snow, you want to clear the snow using a roof rake, but you have to remember if you get up there, you may damage the roof further by getting up on your roof and damaging the shingles that are already worn through years of roof. And this applies to a roof that is a lifetime roof, 50 roof, 20-year roof. Because of this recent snow and the accumulated ice and the later melting, what happens is that the water gets into the roof through where there's not integrity with the roof anymore that was caused by the ice and the pressure and what have you. And it gets into your electrical wiring, which is now affecting your internet, your lights, a mold accumulation, things that you wouldn't have expected. So you want to kind of be on the lookout for that. Ice dams and icicles. Ice dams can result in one of the worst types of roof damage over winter. If you're seeing any of these on your home this winter, of course we're not in winter anymore, don't ignore it. It's important to note ice dams and large icicles are usually caused by poor insulation or ventilation. Snow and ice melt on your roof due to the internal heat from your house. However, this heat is not evenly distributed across your roof. Melting water that collects in cold area freezes into a solid mass like it did in our freeze. The dams can prevent melted water from running off your roof, causing it to pool on the roof in certain locations where it then will leak into your attic and cause additional damage to your electrical wiring, internet, and insulation. Also, falling icicles can pull down gutters. I don't know if we really had that. We didn't have it for that long, but we could have because it was so quick. Knocking down the icicles yourself can cause just as much damage, just letting them fall. So just be sure to clean and keep up with your gutters. But the reason I'm telling you all of this is that people may not have known that they had roof damage. And if you were experiencing leaks, it may not have been due to your pipes busting, although it could have been, and you want to have that looked at. And so that led to the next question, which is, will your insurance cover that? Of course, you'll have to look at your policy, but you want to you want to call an inspector out. And so I had a list of the to-do things during that you need to do if you suspect that you had damage due to the storm. And many people had pipe damage, from water, the pressure building up and the water, the water pipes busting. We had a plumber come out to our house who explained to me that he is still as busy as he was during the freeze because the pressure that was caused by the freeze is now resulting in after freeze damage. And we personally experienced a water main break, and it looked like Jed Clampett, shooting at some food, and up from the ground came a bubbling crude, except for it was water flowing out of a pipe that we didn't even know was related to the water. And so we had to have that fixed, and it was pretty extensive because they had to dig down deep and all that stuff. But after winter storm, damage can also occur. So if your home was damaged due to broken water pipes, downed tree limbs, or other winter damage, contact your insurance company or agent to file a claim as soon as possible. I mean, if they come out and they say you don't have a claim, you're not going to get a higher insurance rate just because they come out. It's best to have them come look. So I'm going to give you a few tips that will help make the process go smoother. Make a list of the damage to your property. Take pictures or video of the damage. Don't throw anything away until your insurance company tells you to do so. The problem a lot of us have is that we didn't take pictures. In my case, I had so many things going on and animals that were, that were in the house, busted pipes everywhere, that my concern wasn't to document it, it was to stop the damage. And then on top of that, we lost electricity, so we weren't able to charge our phones that were our means of taking pictures. And so by the time we fixed a lot of it, we cleaned up the mess, but we did get some pictures, and as a lot of people did further. And after you bring your plumber in, or the people that were helping you fix your pipes, or your neighbors or whoever, they'll also be able to attest to the damage that occurred and what they helped you do to fix it. So the first thing is to make a list of the damage, take steps to protect your home from further damage, turn off the water, cover broken windows, holes in your roof if possible, save all receipts. Your policy may cover these costs even if you didn't know that it was covered by your policy. I've gotten our policy personally and looked at it, and they're really long. They are tedious to read. A lot of things that you don't know are covered because you've got addendums, and the insurance company usually does everything paperless now, and so you've got to go through your insurance company and ask for a copy to be sent and read that, and you've got other things that are on your mind. You just want an adjuster to come out. But you need to know what your rights are, and you need to know what you've got covered by your insurance. So it's best that you contact your insurance company, get a copy of your policy, really after you've mitigated your damage so that you don't have more damage being happening, and look to see what your policy covers. The next step is you want to try to be there when the insurance company comes to inspect the damage. Don't just leave your babysitter or your child or your teenager there. You want to be there. If you can't stay in your home, leave a note with the information on where you can be reached so you can have like a FaceTime with them. These people are coming into your home. What if you have an insurance company that doesn't have the best morally situated adjusters? You want to make sure that nothing's stolen from your home or further damaged, and your pets are taken care of. So when you have somebody strange coming into your house, even though it's an insurance company, you've hired them, just be sure that you're there, or you've got somebody that you trust to be there, or you're FaceTiming at all times while they're there at your house. Keep a list of everyone you talk to at your insurance company. Be ready to answer questions about the damage. Honesty is the best policy. You're not trying to rip off your insurance company. You do want to be compensated for the damage that has occurred by this natural disaster. Ask about additional living expenses. If you can't live in your home due to the damage, your insurance policy may pay for some of those expenses. And next is you want to avoid fraud. Get more than one bid if you have damage to your house. That will help you decide which offers are too high or too good to be true. This would go for any type of damage, whether you had a natural disaster or not. I handle contract breach cases all the time. I was just involved with one where we had a Zoom trial, and there was compensation by the insurance company and by a considerable amount of compensation that was paid by FEMA for the Harvey flood, and it almost exceeded the amount of the value of the house. And this particular lady got a contractor in. She wasn't satisfied with the work. That was what the breach of contract was about. But if she had gotten, I think her life would have been a little bit made less complicated had she gotten bids from several different contractors and then looked up their background and gotten references prior to having someone just come in her house and carte blanche be doing the work based on the money that she got from the insurance company and FEMA. You want to check references and phone numbers. Call the Better Business Bureau to see if a contractor has complaints. Don't pay up front. Don't make your final payment until the job is finished. In a disaster, contractors from outside your area can't ask for payment before they start work. I don't believe that they can even ask what the amount of money that you're getting from FEMA or your insurance company is. They're simply there to make an offer on the work to be done and to do the work. In this particular trial, the contractor was actually the one that was being defrauded because he did a very good job, in my opinion, and then the lady that was suing didn't pay him any of the money that she received, which in my opinion, exceeded the value of her house. It was close to $200,000 that she received from FEMA and her insurance company. And she said that she didn't agree with the quality of the work that was done, and then she wouldn't pay him for the work that he did. And so really she was just pocketing the money. And her house looked fine to me, but, that's just in my opinion. Avoid contractors. Anyway, what happened in that case was the contractor signed off to release any liens that the mortgage company had on the house, saying that he was willing to accept the payment for the work that he did. And then she didn't get paid because she didn't pay him because she said that he didn't do the work right, but he had already agreed that he was releasing liens. So it was a bad legal move on his part to have released the lien prior to the final check through and her agreeing that the work was done properly to her satisfaction, and then him being able to prove that it was. It was just kind of a mess. Anyway, avoid contractors who offer to waive your deductible or promised a rebate for it. That's illegal under state law, and your insurance company may ask for proof that you paid it. So don't be making side deals with your contractors. The insurance company and FEMA frown upon that considerably. Never sign a contract with blank spaces. You want, before you sign anything, that everything is complete. I mean, why would you sign something without reading it? If there's blank spaces in it, it's not a complete contract. But and if there is blank spaces, you want to put not applicable across a line through it and initial it to show that you acknowledge that that didn't apply to this particular contract. Report possible price gouging to the Office of the Attorney General of Texas. You can do that online. They have, if you go to the WWOAG, that's the Office of the Attorney General, they've got a place where you can direct your complaints. If you don't know who to complain to, they have a toll-free number you can call, and they'll direct you to the proper place to file your complaint. The Texas Department of Insurance has got a helpline and frequently asked questions site, so you can go there. You can go to the Texas Office of the Attorney General. You can also go to the State Bar. You can dial 211. They can direct you. That's the service phone number to where you can get services and who you can contact further about issues you might have about remediation and problems you may be having with your contractors. Now, the State Bar of Texas, and this is a legal show, has a guide to the Federal Management of Assistance, which is Federal Emergency Management Assistance, which is FEMA. And it sort of guides attorneys, but it's a good thing for people to look at that aren't attorneys because it gives you a heads up of what you're asking for. And so I'll give you just a little bit of a heads up, and then I'm going to ask some of the frequently asked questions so that y'all can also sort of be in the same steed as an attorney. And then we're going to go to how to apply for FEMA assistance and what to expect with that. FEMA, and I'll just tell you in a nutshell that FEMA will compensate you for that deductible that that your insurance didn't pay, so you'll be whole from the disaster. But prior to applying for FEMA assistance, you have to apply through your insurance company. If you don't have an insurance company, then of course you can apply directly to FEMA. But you have to go through your insurance company first, which is why I wanted to go over the tips that you want to engage in and employ prior to having making your application to FEMA. Anyway, so when the President of the United States declares a major disaster, like we have with the freeze, anywhere in the United States or its territories, federal assistance is made available to supplement the efforts and the resources of the state and the local governments and the voluntary relief organizations that you can find through dialing 211. Pursuant to the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act. Okay, that's just a federal act. Individuals, families, and businesses may be eligible for federal assistance if they live, own a business, or work in an area declared a major disaster area. The freeze, the Texas severe winter storm was declared an active disaster effective February 19th, 2021, you have up to 3 years to make a claim with FEMA. Help may also be available to those who have incurred sufficient property damage or loss and do not have insurance or other resources to meet their needs. The most important thing a disaster victim must do to obtain FEMA assistance is to register with FEMA. You can do that online at www.fema.gov. To apply for assistance for individuals should register with the FEMA toll-free at 1-800-621-FEMA, which is 7585, within 60 days of the declaration. So there is a time, while you may not have to apply for 3 years and make all of your applications, you need to register within 60 days. So the time clock is ticking, so get on board and do that. If you go to the State Bar of Texas, they've got an Exhibit A. Well, actually, if you go to the State Bar of Texas and you ask for information about FEMA, you can go to their guidelines, and there's an Exhibit A attached to the FEMA publication entitled Help After a Disaster. So if you have any questions about what I'm talking about here today, you can go there, and there's a litany of questions that are frequently asked questions that will help you. It includes information about what type of assistance is available, who is eligible, and the process to obtain assistance, and frequently asked questions. And I'm going to answer a few of those today. Know that not everyone who has suffered in this disaster is entitled to FEMA assistance. FEMA has established a policy for preventing and for rectifying duplication of benefits, and that means that they're not going to reimburse you if your insurance company has already reimbursed you. FEMA duplication of benefits policy includes the concept of a sequence of delivery that establishes the order in which major forms of assistance should be provided. The agency has a primary responsibility for delivering a certain type of assistance and should provide that assistance first, and may do so without regard to other agencies with similar assistance that are lower in sequence. So you can still go to FEMA, and you still may be able to get a compensation and help within 10 days of applying for it. But there's a hierarchy of forms of assistance that they've established that we're going to go over in a minute. Agencies are not prohibited from disrupting the sequence of delivery, just like I just said. However, the agency that disrupts the sequence of delivery must take corrective action. So here's the sequence of delivery for major forms of assistance. Voluntary organizations will get FEMA assistance first. Those are ones that provide emergency assistance in the form of food, clothing, shelter, medical, and transportation needs. Those are going to be the ones that you call 211. So if FEMA won't give it to you directly, they may give it to the voluntary organization, and you can get it through that direction. That's going to be Catholic Charities, the shelter, Salvation Army, the different agencies that help you, United Way, the agencies that help you with relief. The next one is private insurance benefits. Insured applicants must file a claim with their insurance company before receiving federal assistance. They may be eligible to receive disaster assistance if they have insufficient coverage. Man, I can't talk today. Or have items not covered by their insurance policy. What that means is perhaps your insurance policy did not include severe winter storm damage. Or it may be that you had a very, very high deductible on your insurance policy. And many Woodlands homes will not be able to receive any insurance benefit until they've exceeded this exceedingly high deductible, and it could be as high as $25,000 to $50,000. FEMA will reimburse you for that deductible amount because it's not covered by your insurance. So that's why you want to make your claim first. Temporary housing assistance is next. FEMA funds and administers the temporary housing program, which is designed to provide disaster applicants with a grant for their housing needs. A grant is an amount of money that they give you that you do not have to pay back. There are 5 forms of temporary housing included: lodging expense reimbursement for the cost of short-term lodging, such as hotels, food and transportation, telephone, separately billed utilities, and other services not eligible for reimbursement. Minimal repairs assistance to help with those immediate emergency repairs to live in the residence while repairs are being made. This is not intended to address all the damage, but only those that make it so that your property is habitable. You're not living in a home that's got, a flooded out floor or no roof or, moldy insulation on the floor or no heating or your electricity or your wiring is out or any number of things that make it uninhabitable. You'll get the money, a grant almost immediately from FEMA if you've applied with your insurance company and they haven't given you money to live, because they're looking to take care of the United States is looking to take care of its citizens in an emergency situation. You can get rental assistance. Eligible applicants will receive financial assistance to rent a dwelling for the pre-disaster household to live in for up to 18 months based on need. FEMA may provide a list of available rental properties as well. And the fourth one is manufactured housing. When rental properties are unavailable, FEMA may provide in-kind assistance in the form of trailers, manufactured homes, or other readily fabricated dwellings for use of temporary housing for up to 18 months, subject to recertification of the continuing eligibility. Applicants receiving in-kind assistance are not eligible for financial assistance. And I'm not quite sure what that means right off by just reading it, but I believe that means that if you're getting a mobile home, that they're not going to also give you money to rent a place because they're giving you the home to live in kind. You can also get mortgage and rental assistance. It provides a means to keep people who have suffered a substantial change in household income in their homes, particularly if you work from your home or if your business was affected by this freeze, by assisting with their mortgage or rental payments and preventing foreclosures or evictions. The application period is up to 6 months after the date of the declaration. So that's up to 6 months after February 19, 2021. And the assistance is available for up to 18 months based on need. The next level of hierarchy to receive funding from FEMA is through the Small Business Administration, the SBA. I didn't even relate the two, but fortunately the State Bar has given us this information to provide to citizens. The Small Business Association provides low-interest, long-term disaster loans for individuals to repair and replace real and personal property for non-farm businesses, because foreign businesses can go under a different federal agency. If the Small Business Association determines that an applicant is ineligible for a Small Business Association loan, or if the loan amount is insufficient, the SBA refers the applicant to FEMA for federal consideration. Borrowers are required to maintain the appropriate hazard and flood insurance where required. SBA can only approve a loan to an applicant with a reasonable ability to repay the loan. So if your small business was affected by the freeze, you can go to the SBA and apply for a low interest loan. If you do not qualify, you are directed to FEMA to help you to offset the expenses because of the disaster with a grant through FEMA. But you have to, they're directing you first to the SBA. And we're going to go over briefly the SBA disaster loan program and where to start on that. The bottom line is, if you get turned down, then there's another agency or organization, whether it be on the federal level, state, or local, that can continue, that will be able to help you. So don't just say, I lost my house, my roof crowed in, my business isn't doing well. You just have to know where to go, and you have some guidance through the State Board of Texas, FEMA, the SBA, and 211. The next level of organizations that FEMA is here to help is voluntary organizations, those that provide assistance during recovery as well as during immediate emergency responses, including national local groups, can obtain relief from FEMA to help them help others. The next level is something called the Cora C. Brown Fund. This fund is named after Cora Brown, who died in 1979, bequeathed part of her estate to the federal government to be used solely for human suffering caused by natural disasters. It is used for disaster victims who have exhausted all other avenues of assistance but still have unmet needs. FEMA uses these funds under the authority of the Stafford Act. Other forms of individual assistance programs include disaster unemployment assistance. It provides financial help and employment services to people who are otherwise ineligible for regular state unemployment compensation. The disaster unemployment assistant provides help for workers and those who are self-employed if they become unemployed as a result of the disaster. The freeze may have taken out your business. And by the way, COVID was also declared a disaster. And so this disaster unemployment assistant will also, it's an umbrella that will overlap. So if you can't get unemployment funds through the state, then through FEMA, you may be able to get disaster unemployment assistance. So again, you want to go to FEMA for this. Crisis counseling are funds provided by FEMA as a grant to the state and local mental health agencies provide crisis counseling to help relieve grieving, stress, or mental health problems resulting from the disaster or its aftermath. That would apply to COVID. COVID was a disaster also. If you had someone that died from that, if you had somebody that died due to the freeze, or if you had somebody that was seriously injured or sick in the hospital because of the freeze, the crisis counseling will be funded by FEMA, and this money will be granted to the state. You can go to FEMA, and they will tell you where to go to get this assistance. Services provided include screening, diagnostic testing, counseling, and outreach services, such as disseminating public information and community networking. 2 types of programs are offered: immediate services and regular design services that provide help up to 9 months. Okay, so how do you apply for FEMA relief? If you live in the disaster area, Montgomery County is a disaster area, as declared by the president, you can go to www.fema.gov. You click Online Individual Assistance Center, and the screens will prompt you through the process. So basically, you're applying interactively through this application online. I went through that process with a client. It's very, very simple. But you might get rejected if you answer some of the questions wrong, or it looks like you're ineligible. We're going to go over a few of those issues now to make sure that you don't get denied for something that may have been answered incorrectly. So what happens after, you can do it pen and paper, but I found it's a lot easier to do online. What happens after you apply for disaster assistance? FEMA will mail you a copy of your application and a copy of something called Help After the Disaster, but you can get that online. It will answer many of the questions that you have. If your home or its contents are damaged and you don't have insurance, an inspector should contact you within 10 days after you apply to schedule a time to meet with you to look at your damaged home. I can tell you right now that you want to contact your insurance company first after you make the list and you go through the list that I gave you earlier in the program, because it's going to make things a lot smoother to make sure that you've covered everything. If your home or its contents were damaged and you have insurance, you need to work through your insurance company claim first, just as I just said. Provide FEMA with a decision letter, settlement, or denial from your insurance company before FEMA will issue an inspection. So you want to get with your insurance company very quickly, because the longer it takes for you to get that letter from your insurance company, the longer it will take for FEMA to compensate you for your damage. But still go forward with FEMA on your other issues if you have a property that's uninhabitable, or if you have an emergency that will affect your livelihood or your health. There is an exception for damages caused by flooding, and in this case it would be freeze damage. FEMA will issue an inspection before you receive a copy of your flood insurance decision letter to evaluate your eligibility for temporary living expenses, because temporary living expenses are not covered by flood and your freeze insurance typically. About 10 days after the inspection, FEMA will decide if you qualify for assistance. If you qualify for a grant, FEMA will send you a check by mail or deposit it in your bank account within 10 days. FEMA will also send you a letter describing how you are to use the money. For an example, repairs to your home or to rent another house while you make the repairs. If FEMA decides you do not qualify for a grant, FEMA will send you a letter explaining why you were turned down and give you a chance to appeal the decision. Appeals must be in writing and mailed within 60 days of the FEMA decision. You can circumvent this denial if you just follow a few easy mitigation steps that I'm going to provide you. If you get an SBA disaster loan application, and this is separate from the FEMA application, if you get an SBA disaster loan application in the mail, you must complete and return the application to be considered for a loan, as well as certain types of grant assistance. A grant means you don't pay it back. SBA representatives are also available at the disaster recovery centers to help you with the application. We all know how that goes. You're on the phone forever and you don't get anybody to answer your call. So do this online and follow a few steps that I'm going to give you, and it will work much more smoothly. If the SBA finds that you cannot afford a loan, they will automatically refer you to the FEMA Individual and Household Grant Program. If the SBA approves your loan, they will contact you. If the SBA finds you cannot afford a loan, FEMA will contact you. So what if 2 weeks ago you mailed the documents to FEMA that they asked for, and you've called the helpline and the service representative said the documents were not in the file? What should you do? Because of the record number of storms and the freeze applications, many of the FEMA mail-related processes are backlogged. They suggest that the problems will be, they're going to tell you that they're going to be working on it, but what you want to do is you want to speed the handling, and by giving them your information, your fax information, I don't think people fax anymore, but your email information, your name, your social security number, the disaster number, and your registration ID that you provided. You want to send this to them via email. This will speed the handling and ensure that your documents are placed in the correct file. The squeaky wheel always gets the grease, so you do want to follow up. The numbers can be found on the cover page that you received from FEMA in the left-hand corner. The letter from FEMA, what if you receive a letter from FEMA that said that you have no damages or insufficient damages, but your home was damaged and some of your personal property was damaged too? So what do? You may file an appeal. You may also, FEMA is not the only place you stop. There's other agencies, and I'm going to give you a list of those that you can contact. Appeals may relate to your eligibility, the amount of or type of help you received. Late applications or requests to return money. You will, and that's kind of an important thing. Say appeals may relate to your eligibility, the amount or type of help you received. Late applications or even requests to return money. Now, I've never heard that, but I guess it's feasible. You will not automatically get another inspection just because you appeal. You want to go to the FEMA appeals process, and I'm going to give you a few pointers pretty quick here because we're running out of time to let you know what you need to do to make sure that you don't get on that ineligibility list. Let's see. So what happens if you apply for disaster assistance and you haven't heard anything from anyone? and you keep calling the number and you get a busy signal. Is there any way to follow up on your claim? If you have access to the internet, you may want to consider checking the status of your claim online. Go to www.fema.gov, then click Online Individual Assistance Center and follow the instructions for assessing your account information. Another option is to visit a Discovery Recovery Center in your area so you can actually talk to somebody in person. So what happens if you receive a check for rental assistance and there's no place to rent? FEMA can give you a list. What happens if you didn't receive enough money from FEMA to meet all your needs that you asked for? Most disaster aid programs are intended to meet only essential needs and are not intended to cover all your losses. Some people qualify for assistance from more than one program and may receive additional help from other agencies. For an example, the Small Business Administration is a very important source of funding for repair and replacement of real and personal property. If you received a loan application packet from the SBA, complete that application and turn it in as soon as possible. No work can begin on your loan until you submit the application. So the bottom line is apply with the SBA for a loan and a grant. Apply with FEMA. Apply to the local agencies. Contact 211 to see who you can get a grant from, and Chair will help with that way. If you do not agree with the FEMA's decision, you may appeal the decision. We just discussed that. You've got 60 days to appeal it. To file an appeal, follow the appeal process online. So what if you know others in your neighborhood, city, or state who has received help from FEMA? However, you were told that you didn't have enough damages, but you believe that your damages exceeded what theirs did. Does FEMA use the same criteria when considering damages for everyone? FEMA reviews each applicant's case individually and applies the same eligibility criteria. However, maybe they listened to the show or they looked at the things that you need to do, or they know the system a little bit better, and so they were able to get assistance. So before you file, you want to make sure you do it the right way. If you were determined by FEMA to be ineligible because of insufficient damages and you feel this finding is incorrect, of course, you can appeal. What if you have a new phone number because you lost your phone in the flood or got stolen? How do I update my application? Some of the information, such as the current phone number, mailing address, or insurance policy number, can be updated through FEMA's online Individual Assistance Center. What are FEMA's citizenship and immigration requirements? You must be a U.S. citizen, a non-citizen national, or a qualified alien to qualify for a grant from FEMA. However, undocumented individuals can apply on behalf of their minor child who is a citizen and has a Social Security number. FEMA can provide information on how to obtain a Social Security number for a minor child. The minor child must live with the parent guardian applying on his or her behalf that is within the disaster area. The undocumented individual does not have to be a U.S. citizen, non-citizen national, or qualified alien for crisis assistance, crisis counseling, disaster legal services, or other short-term non-cash emergency assistance. Voluntary agencies that you can find under 211, when you call 211, can provide help regardless of that immigration status. Seems to me that if you're not here legally and you have a child who is a citizen, that you'd want to apply through FEMA do that direction to get assistance. Are aliens eligible for disaster assistance, and who is eligible for disaster assistance? To be eligible for cash assistance from FEMA, you must be a qualified alien. A qualified alien generally includes individuals who are lawful permanent residents, possessing an alien registration receipt card, your green card, or those with legal status due to asylum, refugee, parole, admission into the U.S. for humanitarian purposes, withholding of deportation, or domestic violence. And I'm going to read that again because that's a little bit confusing. A qualified alien generally includes individuals who are lawful residents, or those with legal status due to asylum, refugee, parole, withholding of deportation, or domestic violence to them. Applicants should consult an immigration expert concerning whether or not their immigration status falls within the FEMA qualification alien category. Disaster recovery centers. What is that, and what services do they provide? These centers are readily accessible facilities, are mobile, and are also mobile offices where applicants can go. You can find them by contacting FEMA. I think it'll be easy to call 211. You'll get an immediate response. Some of the services that the Discovery Recovery Centers include are guidance regarding discovery disaster, clarification of written correspondence received, housing assistance, and answers to a lot of your questions. Status of applications processed by FEMA. So they're your go-to person if you need to have a body. And SBA program information. That's your Small Business Association grants or loans. So where do you go if you've had, and this probably won't apply to a lot of our listeners, but it could, if you have farm or agricultural damages. If you sustain damages to your home or personal property, you can apply with FEMA. If you had damages to your crops, livestock, we have a lot of people with houses, goats, farm animals or cereal, farm equipment, barns, dairy, then you should contact your local Farm Services Agency office to inquire about the USDA's Disaster Assistance Program. So I would do this in conjunction with FEMA and the SBA. Inspections. The inspector, if you have an inspector that came out to your house and told you were going to get money from FEMA, but you got a letter stating that you were not eligible, what do? The letter from FEMA is above what the inspector tells you. It has a higher priority. The inspectors are FEMA contractors and not authorized to comment on eligibility. So what if FEMA accepts as what will FEMA accept as proof that you were occupying the home? And this is for fraud purposes. When people are saying, "Oh, I lived in the home and it was damaged and I need FEMA help now," there are several documents that can be used, and people know generally that they're going to be utility bills, employer's payment statement, driver's license, and other types of things that would show that you actually live in the home and it's not a rental property that somebody else is already claiming under. They will accept documents that we just talked about, tax receipts, insurance policy receipts, and I think they're not as stringent as when you go to the DPS to get your driver's license renewed, and they are just, they'll send you home if you don't have your passport or your old driver's license. So that's just a mess if you've been doing that lately over at the Spring location. You will get what you need, but it'll take you all day to get it if you don't come prepared with the proper tender, which is cash and a credit card. If they're don't have their credit card counters working that day, and your passport. What if an inspector calls and you miss the call? How do you contact the inspector? FEMA inspectors are out on inspectors on most days, cannot be reached while they're inspecting homes. You should wait for the inspector to call you again. But if you've missed the call, then I would go to one of the disaster relief centers to talk to person to get them back out again. Don't miss that call. So what if you have insurance and you filed a claim with your insurance agent, but currently you don't have a place to live? FEMA cannot duplicate the assistance from your insurance company. If you still have serious unmet needs after receiving or not receiving your insurance benefits, FEMA may be able to provide you with additional assistance. If you go to the Discovery Disaster Recovery Centers, call 211. They'll tell you the closest one to your house is. So what if you've received a settlement from your insurance company or an offer and it's not enough to cover your losses? FEMA recommends that you read over the settlement documents that you received from your insurance company policy. If you believe that a mistake has been made, contact your insurance agent. If you're still not satisfied, your agents can tell you how to contest the settlement. You want to call FEMA and you want to apply and ask that they cover your deductibles. Are insurance deductibles covered under the FEMA programs? This says FEMA does not cover insurance deductibles. If your insurance settlement does not meet your disaster-related need, however, you may be eligible for assistance under FEMA, which covers your insurance deductible. So it's kind of a circular argument that, yes, your insurance deductibles will be met. What documents does FEMA want from my insurance company? If you apply for help from FEMA because your insurance does not cover all of your disaster-related needs, you need to write a letter to FEMA explaining your situation and include a copy of the settlement or denial from your insurance company. FEMA cannot duplicate your insurance coverage. So if you have a claim, so the question is, do you have to file a claim with the insurance company since you have to pay a deductible? Why can't FEMA just help you? FEMA cannot just give you money for items that your insurance covers. This would be considered a duplication of benefits. But first, you're not covered if your deductible is $50,000. But FEMA may be able to help with your uncompensated losses or unmet needs not covered by your insurance company, i.e., deductible. If you have not already contacted your insurance agents to file a claim, please do this as soon as possible. If you do not file a claim with your insurance, FEMA's help may be limited. Of course, there's a bunch of different agencies, so the bottom line is file a claim, but still register with FEMA and make a claim. My insurance company told me that if it would be weeks before they come out to see my damages, can FEMA help? If your decision on your insurance settlement has been delayed longer than 30 days from the time that you filed your claim, you may be eligible for insurance advancement from FEMA. These funds are considered a loan and must be repaid. But you might be eligible for a grant, so there's some argument about that too. You want to contact an attorney. Once you receive your settlement from the insurance company, contact FEMA. If your insurance settlement is delayed, FEMA will send you a request for you to reimbursement for the advancement. You must complete and return this letter to FEMA, and they'll evaluate your request. Late registration. What happens if you register after the 60-day filing deadline? A letter will be sent to you stating that you're not eligible for consideration for disaster assistance under the Individuals and Households Program. The letter will contain information on how you can appeal this decision. So the bottom line is register now. It's not going to affect your claim. You've got 60 days from February 19th to register. Just get it in there and don't miss this deadline. It's otherwise you've just made it far more difficult for you to receive your money. You'll receive money directly to your account. You can get a treasury check, a personal check, a state check. It says if you need to return a check, you can send it to, but odds are if you get a check, you're not going to be returning it. A small business association loans. Why am I being referred to the Small Business Association? It's the primary source for federal funds for long-term recovery assistance for disaster victims. The SBA has low-interest disaster loans and grants for homeowners, renters, and non-farm businesses to recover disaster damage from real and personal property. And I'm getting the signal from station manager Dick that I need to wrap up the show today. If you have any questions, you can contact, you can go to our Facebook, and we've got some links that will set out who you can contact, some frequently asked questions, what you need to do to prepare prior to filing for your FEMA recovery and for their aid so that you don't be deemed ineligible by FEMA and the Small Business Association and the charitable organizations, which I don't know if the eligibility requirements are the same for charities, but so that you will be able to be compensated for all of the damage that was caused by this freeze and our COVID. But the freeze is actually what we're talking about today, and be made whole because of this natural disaster. So again, go to our Facebook page. You can listen to us on FM 104.5, FM 106.1. Station manager Dick from time to time replays our show at hours that I'm pleasantly surprised that I'm on the air, so you can hear this. You can go to our Facebook page again, or you can go to irlonestar.com and go to Legal Connection Show and rewatch this broadcast. This is Tony Collins, and signing off. Remember, the most important thing that I can tell you to do today, to live by God's rules, to serve God by serving others.